first of all, like Israeli, and many people will not agree with what I'm saying, and I still insist that what I'm saying is the right thing. When you coming to some level of understanding and personal relations, they're very like us. What you see is what you get. Okay? They put it more politely. They are less blunt than we are, but they are very, very, and they are, talking in understatements. There are still things like breaks, but you can build relations there. I mean, if somebody says something that they appreciate, you understand it's not from politeness.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. 20-Minute Leaders is a proud supporter of Make-A-Wish Israel and Tech to Peace, and is in proud collaboration with Secret Chord Ventures, J Ventures, Riverside FM, Fusion VC, Birthright Excel, J Impact, Leap, Google for Startups, and Hippo, and in media partnership with C-Tech. Hello and welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. This episode is all about the intersection of Israel, India, anything in between. After this episode, I'm booking my flight to Bangalore. Meet Benjamin Grossman, partner and the head of the Indian legal practice and APM&Co, among the leading law firms in Israel. Benjamin deals with Indo-Israeli transactions for more than 20 years and has in-depth knowledge and insights about the ways to develop business relations with Indian counterparts. Benjamin has developed expertise in transfer of technology deals between Israeli and Indian companies. He also holds a BS.c in engineering as well as an MBA. Benjamin Grossman, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for hosting me. I'm just great.
Thank you very, very much for being here. You get to deal with a different type of law than a lot of different lawyers in tech here. You get to deal with, you're working a lot with India. It's a big part of your practice and a big part of your world. So I'd love to get to know you a little bit better in your work. How did you even get introduced to India as a market that you're working with, in the intersection of India and Israel?
Okay, so it takes about 20 plus years back. I've been requested to help with a certain deal in India quite urgently. From now, I got a notice of 24 hours to be on the plane. I've never been in India before that. I never thought to be in India before that.
Wow.
India was not in my destination list. But, when it comes, I said...
What happened there? Why did you have a 20-hour notice to be on a plane?
There was some kind of a deal that was stuck, and somebody which was supposed to lead it, had some personal issues. He has to come back to Israel immediately. And I said, okay. I took the next flight to India. It was not the same India as we know today. Flights were quite difficult. It was a long journey, like 24 hours altogether in that particular day. And then I landed in India, in Delhi. It was 3 a.m. In the middle of the night. And then I don't know why I cannot put the finger exactly what happened, but there was some kind of energies in the air which I loved from the first sight. Okay, India is a love story on the first sight for me, and then it evolves. I learned, I understand. I don't understand anything about India, and I also understand it's very, very interesting place. I felt at home because there were many points in that time and also today which was very similar to Israel in many aspects. Actually, it reminds me the Israel I was brought up then in the 70s. People were humble and very curious about Israel. There has been, and it's still today, a very high level of appreciation of Israel technology, Israel capabilities, and so on. Sometimes I even feel it's a little overrated in India, but I prefer to be overrated than underrated. And it was very interesting in all aspects: personal, cultural, professional. And then since then, I'm visiting India quite often, like between once a month to twice a month.
Wow.
I acquired lots of friends there. lots of friends. And I love the place.
So did you transition your practice or your client primarily to be those that are working with India? How did you sort of combine the personal love that you've gotten to the place with the professional side of your day-to-day work?
Maybe I'm not quoting it exactly, but life is what happened to you when you're making plans. I never planned to be in India, but I seen that deal came after deal. I was working with the defense industry, which was the major chunk of business then. And each time was a new interesting deal came with new terms and conditions, with new people on the other side, with new opportunities, with new sectors to learn. And I'm a curious guy. I like to learn new things. And if you are curious, India, it's the Disneyland for curious people, because you can never grasp India. It's always changing, very interesting all the time. And professionally, I learned a lot, because the system is different from the system in Israel. There's a lot to learn. And if you learn something today, you must be updated, because tomorrow it will be different. Lots of changes. India is moving ahead. It's like an elephant. It's moving not so slow, but very determined. The elephant will get to his point. And it doesn't look as fast as the horse, but it's more determined than the horse. It will reach the point. And I learned to appreciate the bureaucracy, the regulation, all these things which without that India would not exist, or would not success it is now. And the opportunity is huge. For me, India, it's some kind of a blue ocean. Because when I'm combining the Israeli capabilities and the huge, actually the infinite Indian market for us, I think that it's the dreamland for every technology guy. I'm a technology guy. In my background, I was engineer for many years, so I like technology. I like to deal with technology. I'm dealing a lot with transfer of technology. So I also understand what has to be emphasized, what is more important, what is less important. And it's always fun to use the things that you learned in the past and to do new things with that. So
take me back maybe to sort of that initial relationship that you formed with the place, for people that aren't necessarily, gotten a chance to really experience it personally or professionally. Well, what is it that you fell in love with in terms of the culture or the way business is made, the way people are interacting? What was it that was so special for you?
First of all, like Israeli, and many people will not agree with what I'm saying, and I still insist that what I'm saying is the right thing. When you coming to some level of understanding and personal relations, they're very like us. What you see is what you get. Okay? They put it more politely. They are less blunt than we are, but they are very, very, and they are, talking in understatements. There are still things like breaks, but you can build relations there. I mean, if somebody says something that they appreciate, you understand it's not from politeness. So I feel very comfortable with that. And within the time, you learn to know exactly what they mean, and you feel very comfortable, because the most difficult thing to get in India is no, is a negative answer. And then you have to understand from the yes, if it's a really yes, or it's a maybe, or it's a no. And I like that kind of communication, because I feel that I feel confident with that. And I feel that once you feel confident, you can generate the business. Yes, the process is long and tedious, and sometimes it's going up and down and so on. And whenever you think that you got to the end, it's only the beginning of the next stage. Like just said, mostly it's the beginning of. It's not even the beginning of the end; it's the end of the beginning all the time. To close a deal in India within a week or two, or within a month or two, even within a year or two, it's very difficult. I'll just tell you something that I met somebody in a plane when we visited India with the President Rivlin. I believe that was about 6 years back. And it says that they are now working on an MOU, and then the MOU will be of develop into TOT, Transfer of Technology Agreement, and all this. They put a deadline of 2 months. So I was polite because I didn't know the guy very, very closely. I says, okay, good luck to you. And I told myself something maybe will have peace, world peace by then. I don't know what will happen. TOT will not be signed with 2 months. It's something, it's not a legitimate molecule of time. So you have to be patient, and I'm a patient guy, and this gives us some kind of an advantage. And again, they love it. Each place I'm coming to India, people love the Israelis. I'll just tell you a short story. When I was working one of the defense companies, we have to send a team to a place which was a little problematic in the sense of personal security. And we have reported to the police that we are there. So in the middle of the night, the chief of the police in that village, got slightly bigger than the village, come to the hotel and asked to see the Israelis. And we were very scared. So he said that he heard that the Israelis are the most clever people in the world. You never see Israeli in his eyes. It was curious how the Israeli look. So that gives you an understanding how we're still there. And again, business-wise, I think this is the biggest opportunity we have. Now, there are some hesitations whether to go with China or to go with China. India is now positioning itself as a superpower, not as part of the BRICS. As an independent superpower, they are playing very smartly in this Russian-US game.
Incredible.
They are very smart politicians, yes, and they are diplomats. And I really feel like it's my second home.
Fantastic.
So,
tell me a little bit about your day-to-day work. Well, what is it that you do in your day-to-day?
Well, when we are dealing with any kind of transaction in India, and we're dealing mainly with big volumes, there are certain phases that you have to go through. There are no shortcuts in India. If you are shortcuts, you'll get to the square one quite immediately. Sometimes you not understand. You think that you are progressing, but you are climbing in the air. You are not climbing the ladder yet. So we are starting with negotiation, with understanding the purpose of the deal, the principles of the deal, the obstacles of the deal. Just now we had a deal that I understand after 2 minutes that there is some tax issue that the Indian party was not aware of, the Israeli party was not aware of. We are thinking very differently, although we are speaking both English. The meaning of the English is almost totally different. And then we said, okay, guys, but now we have a gap of 20% tax that has to be withheld in India. How we overcome that? And then we untied, I would say, the knots, okay, little by little. We find a solution to that. Then we understand about the labor law in Israel and the labor. We are resolving the issues one by one. And then we are creating some kind of MOU, which put in writing all the principles. If you don't record something in the end of the call with some kind of email, MOU, letter of understanding, whatever you call it, it just vanishes away. Next time you'll be in the first phase. And you want to be in the next phase, you have to climb over the previous one, which you have to record in writing. So recording that, and then it's like a puzzle, okay? Then we are going to the next stage, and we are making the things more concrete. And the mechanism, payment, or consideration. For example, if you're getting consideration for intangibles, it's a different process and you want to see the money. It's a different from a consideration that you get for hardware, for example. Totally different. The different kind of authorizations from the Indian side. It's a totally different story. They look at the things different than us. I want to give you some comment. I always recommend to people not to criticize the Indian side. The Indian side, sorry. Don't criticize. Understand their constraints, their philosophy. They are not less smart than we are. They are think differently because they have a different goals to approach, or some different regulations to fulfill. Okay. But don't criticize. The wisdom was not given only to us.
Interesting.
At least at least it was evenly shared between two parties. Sometimes it's difficult with some Israeli entrepreneurs. I'll be very frank with you. So some of my job is also to keep the Israeli side modest and aware to the advantage of the other side of the ocean if they are going, or the Zoom if they are doing it on Zoom. And the process is long. Sometimes of these negotiations can take like 8 hours. In the COVID, I was working from home, so I was spending like 8 hours continuously in one Zoom call, going out, eat something, and go to the next one. That's it. And you cannot avoid, by the end of the day, you cannot avoid to come and to see
Why
people
do you think
in person. It's because this is part of the culture there. They want to see with whom they are dealing. They want to shake your hands. They want to see eye to eye, or they want even, I don't know, to smell your sweat. I don't know. But they want to see the people. They're very human-oriented people. Even the biggest one.
And so when you're looking at sort of the, one of the things that you said that was particularly interesting to me was this idea of keeping modest and humble about what we may not know, that we don't know, right? And you were talking about the nature of their behavior, the nature of their decision-making, that they may even have different goals to fulfill than the goals that we would attribute based on what we have, right? That was a big part of what you mentioned.
Yes. Yes, and the most important thing is to understand what you don't understand, or to know what you don't know. The goals with the details is something which is particularly true in India. And I'll tell you about myself. I believe that I can say I'm expert to India after 20 years or 21 years, and still before each deal, I'm refreshing my knowledge. I'm getting advice from some of my colleagues in India. If something has been changed, some of the policy has been changed, things like that, because we have to understand that we are not understanding everything. And it's not that we can impose our terms on the other side. It's a very delicate dialogue and negotiation. May take time. It's a long process which you cannot, there are no shortcuts. Be patient, be smart, be humble, be kind, and be professional. There is to do deals in India.
Right. It doesn't seem like many entrepreneurs today still understand India as a sort of this big opportunity that you're describing it to be. Why is that?
First of all, I do see a trend in which there are more and more entrepreneurs and startups which do devote some of their energies to India, much more than in the past. Maybe because the Chinese market is now more risky. I don't know, but and maybe because people like me and some other people in Israel increase the awareness of the Indian market. And also today, the Indian market is much more accessible than in the past. Just to give you an idea, in India today, there are 47,000 startups. And they are talking about 90,000 in 2025. Okay? The ecosystem is boiling.
Wow.
It's boiling. Just 2 years back, it was few thousand. Go to Bangalore, see what's going on. How many WeWorks there are there?
Right.
I'm not talking about the brand. I mean, for a common working place. It's taking bigger and bigger portion of the economy. And in that sense, they are more open-minded to work with Israeli entrepreneurs. And so there are good vibes from both sides. So I think the trend is there. But, to educate the market always take time, sweat, and blood.
So most of your work is on the intersection of Israeli entrepreneurs and the Indian market. That's sort of the bread and butter of what you do?
Yes. But when they say entrepreneurs from the Indian side, can be huge entrepreneurs. Like take the Adani deals from last week. Mr. Adani is an entrepreneur in his soul. Okay, so entrepreneurs maintain their soul as the mindset as entrepreneurs.
Incredible.
When they're also huge. And still, most of them are still kind and modest and humble, and don't forget
Incredible.
when they start.
Benjamin, it was such an experience listening to your experience with India. I expected us to talk about the Indian ecosystem, but not to such a personal degree. So I appreciate your candidness and transparency here. And it's just really cool to hear how you're respecting their culture, their ambitions, their goals. And it's, we hear a lot about how the Indian ecosystem is growing, but you're really grounding it in the conversation to the point where, I need to plan my trip to Bangalore to go and see what's happening, because it sounds like it's a must.
I'll give some recommendations about the best restaurants.
Incredible.
Bangalore is really my second home.
Benjamin, thank you so much for everything. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you for the time here.
Thank you for hosting me.
Thank you.